What is up, everybody? Welcome back into the channel. Before we go into this tutorial, I just want to let you all know that I have launched a mentorship program for those interested in switching into the tech industry as software developers, going through the self-taught route, so you don't have to go back to school or pay thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars in a boot camp. So if that's something you're interested in, go ahead and apply using the URL in the description below. Learning how to code really just changed my life, so I want to do the same for other people and work with them to make that change that they've always wanted in tech. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know. If you want to connect with me on a personal level, there's also my Instagram and LinkedIn. Those links are also in the description. But yeah, if there's anything else besides tutorials that anyone would like to see, let me know. If you want to know more about my story, how I got into the tech industry, being a self-taught developer, I will also be willing to share that in a long-form video. But yeah, you're here for the tutorial, so I don't want to hold you. Let's go ahead and get started. So in this tutorial, we have a digital clock, basically that displays the current date and also the current time based on whatever time is displayed on your computer. Pretty self-explanatory. You see that the seconds continually ticks. If you've seen my Pomodoro tutorial, you know that I have a little obsession with clocks, and clocks are actually a great beginner-friendly JavaScript project for those getting started, because not only does it get you to think like a programmer, but also allows you to build something simple and a little interesting as well. So clocks, yeah, are a very, very great beginner project to introduce you on how to think like a programmer. And I'll walk you through that as we do the JavaScript portion of this tutorial. So without further ado, let's go ahead and build this bad boy. So first, I'm going to create my index.html. And I'm going to go ahead and use the Visual Studio Code shortcut for my templates. And I'm just going to call it digital clock this time. And I'm going to link my style sheet to my HTML. And then let's create this style CSS here for to reference the href. And then make sure it's getting read properly and we're in the style CSS. All right, that's it for the head portion. Let's create the document body. I'm going to create a div. I'm going to call it a class of container. I will just house all the date and time contents. And then I'm going to do div of clock. Just to house everything. And then I'm going to create two span tags, one for my time portion. I'm going to give it an ID of time. This is what I'll use in the JavaScript portion. And then I'm going to create a span for my date. Give it an ID of date so I know that's for my date. Then last but not least, I'm going to create my script tag. So if you're using Visual Studio Code, just type in script and use the source shortcut. And then I'm going to source my JavaScript from my script.js. And let me create the script.js file. All right, this is a pretty simple HTML. Very, very straightforward. Nothing is going to get displayed yet because I haven't added any text or anything. The only thing will be this digital clock here. But let's go ahead and add some color to this. So I'm going to go ahead and style this, and I'm going to split the HTML right so you guys can see how I'm referencing each tag in my CSS. Let's go ahead and do the entire body. This is a habit that I like to do. I like to just go ahead and do the entire thing first and then style each individual component. So let's do the entire body. Let's give everything the same font family. For digital clock, let's use a digital font. You can use any font you want, doesn't matter. I just prefer digital 7 sans serif for this. And I'm gonna give my whole thing a dark background with this hex code 272 727, which is basically a black color. And then I'm going to space everything out with a margin of 0. I'm going to use display flex so I can use align items and justify content to center everything. And I'm going to give it a height just of 100 VH just to place it more downwards center on the screen. And then as you guys saw, there was the text on everything was green. So I'm gonna give the text color this little hex code of green 33FF33. That's a green color. And then our body is styled. So let's go ahead and do our container. So everything here, I'm just going to align all the text in the center. Now I'm going to just do the clock. I'm gonna give everything the same font size, both the date and time, 4EM. I'm gonna space out the letters a little bit, just so it looks more like an alarm clock. 10 pixels, and I'm gonna give things like a text shadow, so it has that styling of an alarm clock where it kind of protrudes out a little bit. I know alarm clocks are like ancient nowadays because everyone uses their phone, but this is what an alarm clock has. It has a little border text shadow that protrudes out of it. So it gives you more feel of an alarm clock on the UI. And then time, I'm going to do the time. Let me give it a class of time actually. So I'm going to use this, but for those of you who haven't seen my other videos, I like to use classes for my styling and my IDs for my JavaScript. That way, if I change one of them, it doesn't break everything, it only breaks one portion of my app. I'm gonna give display a block. So this is the time only. So like say it's like 9 p.m. This is the only portion that I'm styling. And then I'm gonna give it a font weight of bold. And that's it for that. And I'll style my date. I'm gonna give it display a block as well. It's gonna be pretty much the same thing as the time, but I'm going to change the color and move it. So we want to use margin top to move it down more. Margin top measures how far you are from the top of the margin. So you're measuring from the top, so you're going to shift down. So that's what margin top is for. So this will allow me to put the date below the time. And I'm going to give it a different text color, just so it's more distinguishable. An ID of an individual component takes precedence over the body. So if you're more specific on a tag, that will take precedence. So it won't be green anymore. It'll be this color. Only my time will be this green color here. So you shouldn't see much. You should probably just see the background being black. Yeah. We haven't added anything yet, but we've hit everything. Let's go ahead and move on to the JavaScript. All right, so let's go ahead and create a function to display the clock. So I'm gonna call it display clock. And let me grab the time. So we'll do document.get element by ID. And then it'll be time. And I'm going to go ahead and just call this function whenever this JavaScript renders. Okay, and I'm actually going to give it a constant value, my time display. And if I just console.log this, just for you guys can see what I'm doing. And then you should see the span tag here in the developer tools. So let's go ahead and open this. See, this exact same thing matches class of time, ID of time, a span. Same thing here, matches class of time, ID of time. So that's what we're doing here. We're bringing in our HTML to our JavaScript, and I'm going to create a date object. I'm going to call it time. I'm going to do a new date. So this is a JavaScript. If you hover over it, if you read, this is a JavaScript object that gives us the date. We can get date values from. And I'm going to do my hours. Since this variable is going to change, I'm going to not let it be a const. I'm going to just do let. I'm going to get my hours. So if you see here, time is a new date, and I'm using the get hours, which comes from, you see here, from date. So I get the hours in date using the local time, whatever local time is on my computer. And this, keep in mind that this does it in military time. So if it was 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 1 o'clock p.m., you would see 1300. So keep that in mind. And then we're going to grab our minutes. That's going to remain constant. So I'm going to do const. The value will never change. And I'm going to get my hours from my time using the date API or the date object from JavaScript. Time.getHours. I'm going to convert it to a string because it's a number. You see here it's type number. I'm going to convert it to a string. That way I can use pad start, which is a string method in JavaScript. And the first argument takes in the max length I want a number to be, or a string, I guess. Max length is a type of number, but this will allow me to fill the string with the maximum amount of values. And if there's not 2 digits, I want to put that as a second parameter. So if there's not 2 digits present, I want to add a 0. Pad start. I want to start it with a 0. And I'm going to do the same thing for the seconds. And seconds will also remain constant here. So I'm going to get my seconds from the date objects. And I'm also going to do 2 strings so I can use pad start. All right, so remember when I said that hours is in military time? So my hours value is going to change here. So I'm going to set my hours. I'm going to check if it's greater than or equal to 13, meaning military time. I don't want my clock to display military time. I want it to be like a regular clock, right? So if it's greater than or equal to 13, I'm going to subtract that from 12. So that way, for instance, if it was 1 o'clock, 13 minus 12 is 1. So this is a great, like I said earlier in this video, great way to think logically, great way to think like a programmer. That's what building clocks is a great beginner to think like a developer. Otherwise, I'm just going to return whatever hour there is. So if I have 12 noon, I'm going to return 12. If I have 11, it's just going to return 11 in the morning. And speaking of 12, I have to account for one more thing. So if hours is 0, which means in military time, 0 is midnight. So it goes from 2300 and then it goes to 0. 100 hours is midnight. I want to set it to 12 because I want a 12-hour clock only. I want a civilian clock only. So I'm going to account for that. And of course, 0 is not greater than or equal to 13, so I have to catch that. Okay, so that takes care of my hours. Now, remember in my clock I had AM or PM. So I'm going to have a variable called this AM or PM. And if my hours is less than 12, I want to do AM, else PM. Okay. And then I'm going to display my time. So I'm gonna use text content. I'm gonna grab the HTML element and set its text content. And I'm gonna use a template literal. So I'm gonna take in my hours and then put the colon, my minutes, colon, and then my seconds. So this is for so that way you don't have to do like let me finish this. And then AM or PM, let me put a space. And then is AM or PM. Okay. All right. So my clock should now be displaying. If I save this, we should now see a clock. And we do. I'm going to get rid of the semicolon here. And you'll see my clock is not ticking yet. It only ticks when I refresh it. See how the seconds is changing? We'll take care of that in a few minutes, but let me get rid of this. Yeah, get rid of that. Put that here. Okay, so now we have our clock displaying. Let's work on displaying our date. So first, I'm going to create all the months of the year. I'm going to put it in an array. So all the months of the year. So I'm going to put them in order. I do not know how to spell February. I think this is how you spell it. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. It's like the month I just don't know how to spell. And it's important that we put this array in order, and I'll explain why. Like in time order. I'm having like a little brain fart. I'm trying to remember all the months of the year. Okay, yeah. So let's double check. We have January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Now let's do the days of the week. And we want to do it in calendar order as well. So Sunday should be first. Wednesday is the day of the week I like have trouble spelling as well. February is my month, trouble spelling, and then Wednesday is my day of the week, I guess. All right, so you have my days of the week. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Now let's go ahead and display our date. So I'm going to create my function to display the date. Call it display date. Now let me grab this date here. Oh, 1 second. I just realized I forgot something. So let me do my separation of concerns here. Go to class of dates. All right, now let me grab that. Now let me grab the date. So date. Okay. Let me just verify I'm grabbing it. And I'll call my display dates when my call display dates. Make sure my date. There we go. Yep. See, spam, class date, ID date. Yep, all good. All right, so let me remove that. Let me create another date object from JavaScript for this function. For this scope, and then now I'll do my date.text content. So I'm going to go ahead and set it correctly. Whatever. I'm going to go ahead and set it directly, not correctly. I mean, it is correctly, but also directly here. So I'm going to take my days of the week array. I'm going to put it in here. And I'm going to do current date dot get day. So get day gets the day of the week using local time. So let me console.log that, and I'll show you guys why I put this in square brackets. So you see it's 0. Line 45. You see the current date.get day is 0. So I put it in the 0th position of the index, which is Sunday. So it doesn't return the day. It just returns the index position of the day of the week. And remember that in programming, everything in index is 0 is first. So since Sunday is the first day of the week, it's going to be the 0th index. And current day.get day was 0. And Sunday is the first thing I put in my array. So that's why it's important to put it in order. Because if I were to do this on Monday, it would return 1. And so it would give me 1. So this is 0. Current day.get day is 0, as you saw in the console log. So it will turn me this value. So that's why I put everything in an array. It's gonna be the same thing for the month too. So I did get month. It would return me 11 because January would be 0, so it'd be -1. Instead of 1, it would be 0. So December would be 11. So watch, the current month will get me 11 in the console. Just refresh it. Yeah, see, 11 right here. So I'm going to do the exact same thing to display the month. So let's see here. So I'm going to do current date. Let me put a comma here actually. Current date dot, or actually let me get the month array first. Months in the position of whatever the month is. Get month. Months. And let me put that in the $sign brackets so it displays correctly here. Let me get out of the sorry, I got my brackets mixed up, but here we go. Months. Okay, now my month should display here. So I got Sunday, now I got December. Let me delete these tabs. And let me just put a comma just for, aesthetics or whatever. Okay. Now let me go ahead and add the year. And for year, you don't have to do any like index or anything. If you do get full year, you'll get the full year. You don't have to do anything special there. Let me save it. And then we got the year now. All right, so let me go back to the original clock. So you see here, there's an ordinal here. I don't just have like the day. I have like an ordinal, like third would end in RD, first would end in ST, stuff like that. So before I add the date, let's create a function to display the ordinal. So I'm going to create a function called get ordinal. And it's going to take in a number, which is the day. So for today, it would be December 3rd. So I was going to take in the 3. 3 is going to come in here. And I'm going to initialize it to default to TH. Since most numbers end with TH, like 11 would be 11th, 12th, 30th, stuff like that. Like most numbers will end with TH. Okay. And then if my date is less than 10, or if it's greater than 20. The reason why I'm doing between 10 and 20 is because numbers between 10 and 20 end in TH anyways. So 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, and so on. They all end in TH. So I don't have to do anything with those numbers. But if any number is less than 10, or if any date is greater than 20, then I want to check stuff. So I'm going to do a switch statement here. And I'm going to take in the day that I passed in, date. And I'm going to do the modulus operator 10, which will give me the remainder, which is this will essentially give me the number at the end. So if I did 11 modulus 10, that'll give me 11. If you use a modulus of 10, it'll keep the last digit. It's a little trick to keep in mind. Okay? So if I get 1, that's why I want to set my ordinal to ST, like first ST. Okay? And I'll break out of here. Case 2, I want to get that ND second. And then I'll break. And then case 3, I want to get R, which will be third. Getting ahead of myself. I want to send that to RD. Right? And then I'll break. And let me just format everything better with prettier. Format documents. That way you can see where everything's going. Okay. And then I'll want to return my date plus the ordinal. So whatever date I passed in plus this. And so that way I don't have to add the plus. I can use a template literal. That's just for the FYI for the template literal that I mentioned earlier. I forgot to mention that when I was doing it in the clock. Okay, now let's utilize this get ordinal function. So let's put it after the month. And it's getting too small. Let me go ahead and remove this. It's hard for me to tell. 1 second, guys, so I can read it better. Okay. So let's make use of this get ordinal. So I'm gonna do get ordinal current date dot get date, which should be the day of the month. So day of the month, in this case, in the recording this video was 3. So we'll get RD for third. All right, so we saved that. We should see that in our web page, which we do. So now the only thing we have left is to make this clock tick. That way I don't have to refresh it to see it change. So you see here how it's doing that. It's just ticking on its own without me refreshing it. So let's make that work. Okay. So it's very simple on how to do that actually. All you gotta do is use the set interval inbuilt JavaScript method. So it takes in 2 arguments. First one is the function you want to go off. The second one is in milliseconds. In intervals, how many times do you want this function to go off, to be called? And there's 1,000 milliseconds in 1 second, so I'm just going to do 1,000. Now every second, of course, the seconds is going to change because a second has passed, right? Now if I just save this, our clock will be ticking. Now we've got a legit clock. Pretty awesome. All right, so simple enough. We have a digital clock that displays, gives us AM or PM. It's a 12-hour clock. It's not military, so any civilian can read it. Anybody who can tell time can just look at it and read it, not think about it. And one little caveat, guys. When I was creating my display clocks, I realized that if it goes to midnight, it's going to display PM because I made it 12 here when it's midnight. So let me move this here and let me do the check later. That way when it comes into here, when it's 0, my AM or PM will be AM because 0 is less than 12. Now if I come here, I can go ahead and at the last minute change my hours to 12. That way at midnight, it'll say 12 AM. Also, instead of get hours here, it should be get minutes. All right, now everything should be good now. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.